Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Global Speedrun Association. We have for you coming up the very first match of the losers bracket, round one. This match between Source, YT, and Hey There Cool. Joining me on commentary today is Brisquat. Brisk, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. How about you?
I'm fantastic. I think we have lined up here a very exciting match. Of course, these guys not being so lucky in their first matchup, but this being a double elimination will have an opportunity to continue moving on in the competition. So best of luck to these competitors. We actually have them in a voice call now. We'll start with you, Source. So Source, what can you expect from this match? Is there anything that you have going into it that makes you a little bit nervous?
Well, I did a lot more practice this time, especially on Nutclip after what happened in the first match. So I'm a little bit more confident going into this one because I feel like I've done more preparation.
Yeah, and remind us again, that was, you just had some unfortunate out of bounds movement. It had to kind of take the old way around, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So hopefully we don't see anything like that happening this time. And same question. Hey there. What are you most scared about when it comes to this upcoming match?
I feel like the same thing as last time would have out of bounds. Like, since last time I got the nut clip, but like I failed the out of bound movement and I fell back in bounds, so I had to do the normal route again.
Right. So looks like what it is going to be a little bit of a choke point for both of you guys, but hopefully you have some success in your nut clip and out of bounds adventures this time around. So best of luck to both of you guys.
Thanks.
I think we'll be setting up the race here. We will count you down in the voice call, and we'll be ready to go.
Good luck, you guys.
Shoot.
Now, this race, just like the rest of the tournaments, sponsored by Vi.gg. You can place your bets by clicking the banner underneath the stream or by typing !bet in the chat to learn more information. Of course, you must be of legal gambling age in your country to participate. But that being said, these runners are going to be prepping up and we are going to be underway. Now, Brisquat, do you have any predictions for this race?
I think it'll be a very close race. Definitely both very talented runners. I think anything can happen, really.
Yep, it's kind of tough to say on the surface. Both of these runners pulling out pretty good performances in their first race, just mostly a little bit of sloppiness like they both mentioned in Wooded, luckily not falling in the deep woods in their first races.
Yeah.
But they also did have opponents that were significantly a little bit more confident in those particular sections, and that was kind of their downfall in their races. So pitting them against each other, it might end up coming down to who has the upper hand in just being more consistent, I think.
Yeah, and like they said, they've been practicing, so I'm sure they're more confident with those things that they messed up in the first round.
We will just have to wait and see. Now, looking at the leaderboards, it looks like their PBs are actually rather close together. Very evenly matched race upcoming here. Source, I don't think, has one on the legacy boards yet because he recently switched over, unless I'm just glazing over it. Oh, no, there it is. 106.19. Hey there, cool. 105.58. Very, very close times.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep, they're just readying up. We're just going to be waiting for a countdown, and then they will be on their way. So, you know what? We could really see just about anything from this upcoming race. I know that Source is the kind of runner that likes to take it a little bit easier, likes to not go for all of the hard strats and just be very consistent. Hey there, showing in his first race that he actually didn't go for any Sphinx Clip ideas, didn't attempt Snowdram, so kind of playing in the same ballpark there, I think, for both of these runners.
Yeah.
Yeah, Source even very notably is playing on 1.0, but does not go for things like Turnip Clip either, would rather just go for the cheese and underneath the switch. So That being said, we might see Hey There Cool take a little bit of a lead as a result.
Yeah,
Hey There
I've
Cool.
seen that a lot. A lot of runners find the cheese to be more consistent even when they're on 1.0.
Yeah, and for some reason, I actually feel the opposite. I would rather, honestly,
Yeah.
I would rather have the option to do the turnip clip because the RNG with the pans does
Me
not always
too.
line
I
up.
hate doing cheese. It's my least favorite part of luncheon.
Now, something to be mentioned here. Hey There Cool appears to be dancing around on the menu. I'm not really sure if there's a false start going on here or something. We've paused sources feed just because we're not sure what's going on. We'll be figuring that out shortly. Perhaps just a false start. But it does look like he just missed the countdown. So false start
Yeah.
indeed. We will probably just send these guys back to the beginning and try this again. All right. Getting these racers set back up to go back to the beginning. Hopefully Source is not too focused on the run at the moment to be able to pay attention to the accidents happening on stream. A little bit of a malfunction, some technical difficulties, just to keep things exciting.
All right, looks like we're starting back up here.
Yep.
Um,
Apologize to all the viewers watching for the spaghetti going on right now, but yeah, these runners are both stopped playing and I think are just going to be resetting back to the start. So give us just a moment. But yeah, in the meantime, Brisk, what can you tell us about your Super Mario Odyssey career, your experience with the game? I feel like I have seen you kind of pop up in the last couple of months recently. So tell us about what your game's all about.
I just started running a few months ago, I'd say, probably like 6 months ago. And I've had so much fun with it. This is one of the this is some of the most fun I've had with video games in a long time, speedrunning this game. And I've only been doing any percent so far, but I've been really hoping to learn some other categories. Mostly a lot of that interest in other categories has been from watching your streams. You do a large variety of categories in this game.
I do. I find that any percent is a very approachable category, kind of easy to wrap your head around. The route isn't necessarily technically difficult, except for some of the more like complex snowdram and nut clip and that kind of thing. But there's very easy workarounds, so easy to get into. This game in particular is not the most difficult either, so it's an approachable speed game.
Yeah, for sure.
I like speedrunning in general because it brings life to games that you love but have no reason to play again. It gives you a goal to accomplish.
Yeah, a lot of this game is mostly based on movement as opposed to super difficult tricks. Obviously there's some in the run, but it's mostly just optimizing your movement.
Certainly. And yeah, once you've got a hand on any percent, this game does have quite a variety to offer as far as different categories go. So any percent being the shortest and probably the most technically consistent and optimized, but other categories include things like getting to the dark side of the moon, getting to the darker side of the moon, completing 100%, of course, but many runners tend to enjoy AUM more because all unique moons is a category which kind of cuts out some of the extra fluff that 100% has. But many different opportunities there, depending on what kind of runner you are. So anybody who's looking to get into Super Mario Odyssey or speedrunning in general, I would definitely recommend checking this game out. It really brings a new challenge and perspective to this game if you love it already.
All right, looks like we're getting started here now.
All right. No false starts this time. Both of these guys queuing up and skipping the cutscene here at the beginning. And we're ready to go.
All right, so with Cap Kingdom, first kingdom of the game, probably the most despised kingdom by runners, just because you see it all too many times. For the most part, pretty straightforward kingdom. There's a few things here and there, but for the most part, they're mostly just going to be going through it as intended.
Yes, indeed. There are a couple of things that we do to make it a little bit faster for ourselves. This beginning jump here with no cappy requires a precise triple jump to get over the railing, hoping that you don't fall off the railing or bonk somewhere. Then they're just going to be rolling across the kingdom really quickly, pulling this lever, and across the bridge.
And what Hey There Cool did is go into first person after he pulled that lever, and what that did is sped up the panning cutscene of that lever, saved about a second over Source there.
Yeah, and that's, you can see the visible difference there. Coming into play in this race, now going to be dashing across the water, capturing this frog as fast as possible, and doing a technique called vectoring.
Yes. When you are jumping with the frog, if you start in one direction and jump and change directions in midair, it'll actually give you more distance and let you go faster.
And just a strange mechanic of the game. Now, both of these runners actually surprising me a little bit with right side action here. So nobody taking advantage of the potential left side trick, meaning that nobody's going to be gaining any time. Definitely the safer of the strategies.
Yes.
Not necessarily the fastest.
About 2 seconds slower, but it is a lot safer than going for the left side jump. And both of these runners absolutely nailing topper here, no issues at all.
Yep, not opting again for any quick kill strategies, just taking the fight nice and easy, but both looking to be leaving Cap Kingdom in a significantly short amount of time. So off they go to Cascade, and now, like we've mentioned before, both of these runners on 1.0, so we will be seeing most likely the FMS trick, the first moon skip.
Yes, out of Cap here, there's not a huge notable lead by either runner. Hey There Cool seems to be a little bit in the lead, but not by much.
Mostly coming down to that first-person strategy and maybe just a little bit more optimal movement through the kingdom in general, but just a second of advantage at this point, it looks like now.
And
so another noticeable thing about Source is that he still goes for this rock setup.
Yes, most runners nowadays you'll see go in the water and do FMS that way, but I guess Source is more comfortable doing it this way.
Yeah, it's still the way that he prefers, not having any difficulty with it, actually nailing the trick on the first try, which is commendable for the rock one. Even at the highest level of playing, it can still trip up some people.
Source actually missing Dino Skip here. That's not that big of a time sink though.
Yeah, if you kind of loop around with the Dino, you can still kind of land on the trampoline in time to not lose very much time, but still definitely going to be giving Hey There just a little bit of advantage.
Yeah. Here they're doing a little bit of quick Madam Brutal strats to capture those change jumps a little bit faster.
Yeah, the idea here, kind of stopping the chain chomp at a distance where you can immediately pull the chain and send it right back into her face. We like to say that this part is more or less muscle memory to everybody at this point. There's nothing really difficult or technical about it. That being said, we usually wait until after the fight's over to say things like that, because we sometimes, commentators curse plays a big role in these races. We've already seen it happen, so.
But of course, both runners pulled it off, no issues at all. Which is very nice to see.
Thankfully, all is well in the land of the Cascade Kingdom. Now, in order to leave Cascade, we need 5 moons total. These guys have skipped the first moon, meaning they require 2 more.
Yes, something you don't see in a 1.2 run is they're going to come up and get this cliff moon, and then they're going to go down and get this moon in the chest to make up for the moon that they skipped doing first moon skip.
Correct, and this chest, there is a clip associated with it. If you set yourself up in a way, you see Hey There Cool going for it, doing a backflip and throwing your cap at the precise moment, and clips you up into the stage, and he did indeed get it. We'll see if Source follows suit. Looked like he might have actually had the setup correct, but didn't actually take advantage of it.
Didn't fully commit, but luckily that is only about 2 seconds lost, 2 or 3. It's not a huge deal.
Yep, so Hey There Cool clinging on to the lead for now. Source trailing behind by maybe about 5 seconds as we go to Sand Kingdom. Now, things could really switch up here because, as far as I know, neither of these runners really bother trying to go for Sphinx Clip. We could be surprised. of course. But with that being said, taking the Sphinx out of the route can lead to a couple routing opportunities in the Sand Kingdom. So depending on what these guys do, one person may have an advantage over another depending on the route.
For sure. Sand is one of the longer kingdoms in the game as well, so a lot more opportunity for error by both runners.
Yep, and we will see just how all that plays into effect. Whether one of these guys gets the bird early, whether one of these guys decides to go into the Sphinx room anyways, just by talking to the Sphinx. These are all things that will kind of dictate what route they choose and how fast they're going to end up being able to complete it. So, as they roll into town here, grabbing this moon on the top,
Hey there,
see Hey there
to get the bird early.
actually going to be waiting to get the bird early indeed. So, Source going right into the pipe immediately. This will either mean that he tries to get the bird on the way over to the Dune Moon, or he will be going for some sort of late bird strategy, similar to how they do it in 1.0.
Oh, Source actually not opting to get the bird, which means he will be going into the Sphinx room.
Now that has a benefit. There's definitely an opportunity to not have to worry about your coins if you go into the Sphinx room. It sets you up for later in the game. You don't have to worry about any hint arts or anything like that. But
Sure.
it is definitively the slower method because talking to the Sphinx instead of clipping in is rather slow. So that being said, he is putting himself at a bit of a time disadvantage here. Also, just jumping right over the railing, not opting for any drown ideas. Neither of them, in fact.
Trying to be more safe here. Not
Yeah,
going
I think that's kind of the name of the game for both of these runners, as far as I know. Just not really trying to go for the absolute risky stuff because they might not feel entirely confident in it, but playing more consistently by doing the safer things.
For sure.
Grabbing this box moon. Now, with the route that Hey There Cool is doing, it is required. If he is skipping the Sphinx room, he needs to get another moon somewhere else, so he will be getting the moon at the end with the notes, but Source getting that moon signals that he will not be trying to get the notes moon in the Oasis at all if he's going into the Sphinx room.
Yes, playing it safe, the notes route, as many runners will tell you, is one of the worst routes in this game. It is very difficult to do optimally, so he's just choosing to do the more consistent route.
Certainly. So yeah, Source doing as we predict, going into the Sphinx room by talking to the Sphinx rather than doing the clip. Hey There Cool going directly into this sinking sands room of sorts, grabbing this moon, passing by the Sphinx completely without stopping in at all.
Yes, and the difference is notable when you look at the runners in terms of lead.
Certainly. So after Source collects this moon, they'll actually have the same moon count.
So Hey There does look a lot in the lead, however he's not as in the lead as it seems because he does have to get that extra notes moon at the end, which Source will not have to get.
Right. Source will be getting the bird in the Oasis instead, which is much closer to that ground pound moon in the Oasis, then he'll be warping to the Odyssey. So Hey There Cool does have probably about 15 seconds more activity to do in sand before he's allowed to leave, but probably still edging out just a little bit of a lead here.
Yes, certainly.
Source doing the Jaxi skip, getting this chest that contains 50 coins as well as the moon next to it, and then going to be making his way over to the Oasis with one little pit stop by the cactus. Hey There Cool now approaching the Oasis himself, getting the ground pound moon, and then going to be setting up for notes. And we will see just why that is so tricky in a moment. So very flawless execution
Yes,
there.
very nice. You can do it a little bit faster by getting both those notes or both those sides of notes with one spin throw, but that is very difficult and it doesn't save that much time. So the way he did it is very, very good.
Yep, the optimal way revolves around buffering a spin throw as you hop out of the tree just before you grab the note, and then doing a quick dash across the leaves in order to keep the same spin throw going in time to collect them all. But the timing is very tight for that, and I think I've only been able to see a couple of runners at the very top level pull that kind of thing off. So
Yeah.
very minor optimization.
Yeah, that's definitely more of a top runner thing. Hey there, cool, having a very nice sand exit as a source.
Yep. Any exit in sand that's before 11 minutes is very respectable. So these guys on certainly good pace as of now. Source a little bit of a trail here going into Lake Kingdom.
Yeah, and both runners opting to go to Lake Kingdom, which is the more common. However, people have surprised me by going to Wooded first, but both runners are opting to go to Lake first.
Notably, I think Safaro and Miwi specifically are runners that choose Wooded first. In race situations, has no real merit, has no real reason or rhyme to do it. But in a PB situation where you're gunning to get a really good time, it can be optimal to go to Wooded first in case you make mistakes. You haven't wasted the 3.5 minutes that Lake takes to finish. So
yeah, for sure. Because of the difficult nut clip route and other difficult things in Wooded, that is something runners might opt for.
Yes, indeed. I mean, we probably will not be seeing any lake clip ideas from either of these guys. Instead, just capturing the cheap below, and we're going to be grabbing a couple quick moons before doing the Rango fight. Now, of course, the lake clip route, something that has been recently discovered. We've been talking about implementing it for a very long time, but no runners have really been able to make it consistent until recently. But the idea there is to skip this Rango fight entirely, to cancel out the cutscenes that are associated with it, because the cutscenes are really slow. And this game, I think it was actually figured out that about half of the game is just cutscenes. So for an hour-long any percent run, about half of that is spent not being able to control the fate of the game, essentially. So these moon grab animations, all of them add up, as well as the cutscenes and all these things. I think even if you consider like the ruined fight doesn't really have very much opportunity to change the outcome of your timing there. You add all these things up, not very much is actually left to be in our control. So the more opportunity that we have to take back some of that control, cuts out some of the cutscenes, we're obviously going to be able to make optimizations.
For sure. And both runners pulling off Rango flawlessly. No issues there. Hey there, coming out of Lake, still in the lead. Source just trailing a little bit behind, but anything can happen, especially entering the next kingdom, Wooded, which in my opinion is one of the most difficult kingdoms.
I would agree with you on that. And both of these runners kind of expressing their concern about this as they entered the race. Hopefully the nerves have not hit them too hard as they approach this kingdom, but it's really going to come down to this Wooded out of bounds movement. Both runners getting the nut clip in the previous race that they had, but not being able to execute the out of bounds movement that follows, and not falling in the deep woods, but both falling back inbounds and having to take the old route.
Yes, luckily, falling in the deep woods is a very large time sink, so falling in the deep woods would be pretty disastrous, so let's just hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, and we have actually already seen the outcome of falling in the deep woods in this tournament already. 3 runners, in fact, having to take the time lost associated with coming back out of the deep woods. So not completely unheard of in a situation like this where the stakes are high. So hopefully we don't see it again, but you know, commentators curse.
Unfortunately missed the bunny there, but he did back it up very quickly, not losing much time at all.
Still grabbed the rock and was able to bust that open okay. He's going to be making a stop at the shop. Hey there, cool. Making his way up the waterfall now, and he's going to be executing the nut clip first. Alright, the setup looks good. But he actually misses the nut clip. So he's going to be going for the old route. immediately losing himself approximately 25 seconds to the route that we do now with the nut clip. So if Source is able to get this and execute the out of bounds, he will be potentially
Looks like he
taking a
got
lead.
it.
No, he
Oh,
doesn't get it
he
either.
did. Oof.
So both runners are forced to go about the old route now. Unless Source decides to trick us with some rock clip movement. Doesn't look like he's going to be doing that. So yeah, it'll all come down to their kind of memorization of the older route.
Yes, for many runners, they haven't done this route in months now, so it can be a little hard to remember exactly what movement you have to do. But it looks like so far, Hayther and Source are getting through just fine.
Yeah, pulling off the pipeway room, something that actually got added back into Any Percent, was originally taken out when the nut clip route was discovered. Source, unfortunately, not getting enough height off of his cap bounce there in order to skip this this fuzzy area. So taking some damage and losing a bit of time. Hayther had a little bit more of a good opportunity there, and he's going to be kind of extending his lead as a result.
Yes, for sure. So now Source making his way up here to this maze area, and Hayther cool, finishing off this piranha and getting this dead end moon.
Yep. This particular section is probably not the most difficult in Wooded, but it does kind of segue from the nut clip out of bounds movement and into the flower road skip, which can be a very nerve-wracking part for runners to tackle. So Hayther cool grabbing that story moon, and he is going to be attempting the trick first.
Yes. Yeah, flower road skip is a pretty risky strat. I myself, with a 107, still do not go for it because of the risk involved, but Hayther cool, pulls it off, no issues whatsoever.
Nails it on the first try. And then he's just got to make his way back over to the tower. We're not activating any flower road for the Any Percent route. Ooh, actually taking a bonk. This is probably the worst place he could take a bonk in this situation. We see that Source is actually not even going for the flower road skip. So already Source taking the lead here. We'll see if Hayther Cool tries to back this up with another flower road skip. It does look like he's going to be doing that. So as long as Source keeps his movement clean, actually getting insta-nut there, which is optimal, he is going to be making up some time.
Yeah.
Not quite in the lead. Thankfully, Hayther was able to back up his flower road skip again nicely, but Source has closed the gap significantly here.
Yes. As I said, when we were heading into Lake Kingdom, Wooded has a lot of opportunities for leads to switch, and although the lead didn't switch, this is still an example of what can go wrong in Wooded.
Yeah, thankfully Hayther Cool backing up his flower road skip very nicely, not taking any... well, I mean, he did take the risk, but it paid off for him. So he's going to be coming into this Spewart fight with about a 5-second lead.
Neither runner's opting to do the Skewertless route that comes with doing nut clip, obviously, because... Oh, never mind. I forgot they missed nut clip.
Yeah, they don't actually have the opportunity if they
Yeah.
do miss the nut clip, because they go into the pipeway anyways.
Yeah.
So, but that is indeed an option. If you do get the nut clip and all of the moons associated with the out of bounds movement, you can skip this fight entirely. Just like we were talking about in Lake, you know, there's cutscenes involved with the Spirit fight. So by eliminating those, we can optimize getting some other moons instead.
Alright, so both of them grabbing this multi-moon. Not much of a time difference anymore after Hayther Cool took that death. Looks like they're almost about tied. Hayther Cool still just a little bit in the lead.
Yeah, Hayther Cool hanging on to just a little bit of a lead now, probably within 2 or 3 seconds, if I had to say. This race got just a little bit more exciting now. We're going to take a little bit of a quick break for these runners, essentially going into Cloud Kingdom. Nothing can really go wrong here, but then, of course, Lost Kingdom follows afterwards.
Yes, Cloud Kingdom is sort of a breather. for most runners. There is still the opportunity, of course, to lose time, but with enough practice, it's pretty consistent kingdom. Not a whole lot going on.
Yep, the second phase of this fight being probably the scariest, in my opinion, because of the way you have to set up that hit. Not something that you see very often, but this game can sometimes kind of mess up your judgment a little bit anyways and cause some problems, but hopefully we won't see any of that here.
For sure, so... This jump can actually be kind of scary, but both runners nail it. No problems.
I've seen many different ways to get across that particular gap. Both of these guys taking kind of a quick long jump approach.
Source actually not opting to do the fast hat grab up here.
An interesting choice. We're going to see if that carries through the entire fight. If Source is not opting to do the fast Bowser strats, okay, he is for the second hit.
Hey There Cool actually didn't opt to do the fast grab for the second hit. Very interesting.
Yeah, it was a very strange role reversal here. So, gonna be able to see how this plays in. You notice how Hey There Cool is standing back. Source is not. He's going directly for the quick grab. And just like that, they're both punching Bowser at roughly the same time. Hey There Cool still hanging on to just a tiny bit of a lead, but this race got just a tiny bit closer as a result of that.
Source did unfortunately have kind of slow Bowser punches there, which did lose him just a little bit of time, but the race is still very close now.
Within 2 seconds, in fact. And Lost Kingdom being a very scary place to be. Instant death poison all over. Any death results in getting sent back to the Odyssey at the very beginning of the kingdom, so big time losses can be had here if anything goes wrong.
Yes,
Setting up
for
this meme
sure.
tree jump.
Alright, both runners get it. That is one of the scariest parts of this kingdom. That basically a word that can sum up this whole kingdom is scary. Pretty much every moon has something that can go horribly wrong.
Certainly. Usually it involves a long fall to your death, like is the case with this moon here.
Luckily, both runners get it and do not fall in the poison. Taking this alternate route, they are not going straight through the kingdom because they do not want to activate the bird Klepto, who will steal your hat and waste a bunch of time. We obviously do not want that, so we are taking this alternate route through the kingdom.
That's right. As part of the speedrunning experience, we kind of break the sequence of this game. When you approach the bridge in this kingdom, Klepto kind of swoops down and steals Cappy from your head, and you have to go back up and take it from him again. Source actually getting the ground pound cleanly on this staircase here. Hey There Cool taking a bonk, and just like that, Source has taken the lead. Hey There Cool having a little bit of difficulty setting up this bomb to blow up, but getting it just fine. And now we approach this moon here. We'll see if any of them go for some sort of triple jump ideas. Doesn't look like they're actually both going for the stone cage instead, which is kind of the safety strat. Like we've mentioned, this is definitely in their repertoire to go for, so playing it safe.
I don't know if Source will get his hat back in time here. Oh, he does. Okay. So he is able to pull off the deathless route, but Hey There Cool unfortunately does take a death, which will lose him some time.
It's about 2 seconds optimally that getting out from under the bridge can save you.
Yes.
And
Source's movement was just a tad sloppy coming out, so neither of them probably lost or gained any lead there.
Yeah, if I had to say, Source is probably the better one out of Lost Kingdom, taking the lead over by about 7 seconds. So definitely a better performance by Source in the Lost Kingdom in general, and good to be out because it is a scary place to be. And into Metro Kingdom.
For sure. Metro, actually, if I'm not mistaken, the longest kingdom in the game. It's kind of split up into 2 parts, Night Metro and Day Metro. And it is a very long kingdom. Lots of stuff can go wrong here if you're not careful.
Yes, another kind of vertical kingdom, so you don't want to be taking any falls off the tops of buildings. That'll be losing a lot of time. Otherwise, I mentioned this in the last race, there's not really very many big time losses that can be accrued here, except for perhaps the Mecha Wiggler fight. If you get a 3 cycle, that's going to cost you quite a bit of time. We already did see one of those in the last race that happened, so hopefully not jinxing it again this time.
Yes, hopefully Commentators' curse does not come back to bite us here.
As it has very many times.
Yes. Another thing about Metro that is interesting is that there's a lot of very, very tiny optimizations that just add up throughout the kingdom, which can save like up to like 20-30 seconds depending on which ones you go for.
Yep, and you know, as somebody who maybe isn't as experienced in the kingdom or in the run as another, you might be looking at your sum of best thinking, how is it that my sum of best is not as good? And it's just like all these tiny little things that really add up. This is a very kind of technically precise kingdom, and just these tiny little optimizations really do kind of add up over time. Source showing the incredible hitboxes in this game, kind of foreshadowing this boss upcoming, in fact, because this boss is probably the most frustrating due to the hitboxes alone. And actually, Source taking a slow approach to getting through the wire there. You saw him just walk around the corner. Hey, they're cool. Instead, doing a roll cancel to maintain his speed and actually just catching up with that alone. And we are literally synced in this first phase of the fight.
Another thing about Mecha Wiggler that can be frustrating is not only the hitbox aspect, but also this is one of the only instances in this game that contains notable RNG, so depending on the pattern you get, can depend on how fast you beat this boss.
Yeah, I believe that just about any cycle can be 2-cycled. I don't think that there is a cycle that cannot be entirely, but it definitely takes a level of skill to get through some of the more difficult patterns. Source having an extremely good pattern there.
And as for Hey They're Cool, also has an amazing pattern. Both defeating the Mecha Wiggler very fast.
Yes, we do see Source edging out just a little bit there. His pattern was extremely optimal, being able to shoot all of the orbs and then just finishing off the head portion as it crossed across the bottom. Hey They're Cool, maybe taking a shot or 2 extra, and that's going to be the difference with this fight here. Just 2 seconds separates them now.
So exiting Night Metro and heading into Day Metro, the longer part of this kingdom. A lot of strategies that you will see, a lot of little optimizations, possible scoot clips. I don't actually know if either of these runners will opt to do that, but we'll see.
Yeah, not entirely sure myself. I think both of these runners do attempt to go for something like that.
So this first trick here will be a Metro Dram, where they grab this moon and then do a capture warp onto this wire. Both runners get it.
Both runners get it. Source rolling directly to the scoot, the capture, in fact. Hey They're Cool going for the scoot clip.
Having a little bit of trouble setting it up, but still looks like he will have the faster, yes.
And a nice little comparison there. So anybody watching, the scoot clip is in fact a very worthy addition to your speedrun in this category, because it does save quite a considerable amount of time over the alternative. And actually, Hey They're Cool, looks like he had a little bit of capture warp difficulties, and again, we are literally synced as we talk to the bench friend here. Now, it'll be interesting to see if these guys are going to opt for some sort of old route or new route for Metro. We get the same moons, we just get them in a different order. You can see that Hey They're Cool coming out of the girder and on his way through the kingdom to Pauline.
Source actually opting to go for the older route, warping first and getting this trash moon first.
Right. The way that Hey There is doing it is optimal by about 1.5 seconds, but this is potentially a more consistent strategy because it doesn't require you coming out of the girder and potentially bonking and losing some time that way. So they're going to be getting the same moons, just in a slightly different order.
For sure. So Source making up his way up this tower very quickly. And now going down to get this moon just above the pool.
Meanwhile, Hey There Cool gathering musicians. He's got the bassist and he's got the drummer. After this, he will be warping up to the top of the tower.
Source, unfortunately, taking a what I like to call a ground bonk, which is when you fall from a big distance and land on the ground, and Mario gets a little stun animation.
I
Loses
actually really like that
about
name.
2. Thank you. I did not come up with it. I forgot where I heard that. Yeah, loses probably about 2 seconds.
Yeah,
So it's
his poor legs get a little bit damaged in the fall, and you kind of have to compensate for time as a result.
Yeah. So, due to the differences in route, it may look like one runner is more ahead than the other, when in reality that is not the case. They've just decided to do these moons in different orders.
Right. So you see now Source finally finished with that sub area, making his way over to Pauline, and is going to start collecting musicians now. Hey There Cool looks like he is behind as a result of that, but he also has to do just the sub area, and then he can warp out back to the Odyssey. So we won't really know who has decided or who has come out on top in Metro until basically the Odyssey.
Yeah. So this will be the last room that Hey There Cool enters. These will be the final moons he needs. And these moons over here on this island will be the final moons that Source needs. So, like you said, it does look like Source may be pulling out just a little bit ahead. We'll see here in a sec.
Yeah, there is a cutscene associated with this bassist, though, so he's going to have to talk to the bassist and wait for this cutscene to play, where Hey There Cool is actually warping directly to the Odyssey after having collected this moon, so he is actually going to be pulling ahead here.
Yes, Hey There is ahead by, I'd say, about 10 seconds.
Yeah, the distance between them is still incredibly close. This is anybody's race, and we are entering Snow Kingdom now. Looking at the data here, it doesn't look like either of them went for Snowdram in their runs, so they'll be on even playing field if that remains the case. But anything can still happen in Snow Kingdom.
For sure. Yeah, it doesn't seem like either of them will be opting for super risky jumps, but we'll wait and see what happens.
Interestingly, Source picking Seaside first, I think? Or maybe I just saw that incorrectly. No, Snow as well. Never mind.
Okay.
It was Hey There that actually picked Seaside first. So maybe doing this out of just out of habit. Also because he doesn't have enough coins, which is another huge issue. Remember here that Hey There Cool opted out of the Sphinx room, which means that he's going to be short. So choosing Seaside first is the result of not going to the Sphinx room and being on 1.0. On 1.2, there are options to get coins in other ways. We have hint arts available to us that give us coins directly. Not can be said for 1.0 though. So we are in another situation where we're not entirely sure who is going to be coming out on top until we get out of these respective kingdoms, but we can tell a little bit by how they execute.
Yes. Interestingly, for a long time it was thought that Seaside first was slower due to the fact that you'd have to stop mashing temporarily and switch, but it's actually been time to find that Seaside first is actually just a tiny bit faster.
Yes, it's still a little bit preliminary, I would say. I'm not sure if all of the data has really kind of been fleshed out for that. I'm not sure if there's been enough tests to prove, but from a couple of different samples, it does appear that if you have some good mashing, you can potentially get out of Seaside a little bit quicker than you can choosing Snow. So
yes, and Source not opting for Snowdram, which was to be expected. And yeah, about the Seaside first thing, even if it is faster, it's nothing notable at all. I think the number was like 0.3.
Yeah, marginal, to be sure. And it does rely on your ability to mash buttons well, so menuing not always everybody's favorite.
Yes, so here is the part in Seaside where Hey There is able to grab a large number of coins to be able to get enough for the Shop Moon in snow.
Yes, and you do see his coin counter capping out there at 105, so he's going to be safe for doing the snow shop as long as he doesn't take any deaths. Meanwhile, Source, entering this kind of sub-area portion of Snow Kingdom, has gathered a lot of fast ones in the town, and is now going to be just doing a couple of these very slow story areas to gather some actually not very quick moons, to be fair.
Yes.
That's kind of the
Unfortunately,
downfall of Snow Kingdom.
yes. Unfortunately, pre-peace, there's not much to pick from in terms of moons that you can collect. So we're kind of forced to grab these really slow story moons, but it's just kind of the way Snow Kingdom works.
Indeed. Now, of course, lots of fast moons available in Snow Kingdom after we've achieved peace, but that requires completing the Bound Bowl, and Bound Bowl is not fast at all, so this is kind of what we're stuck with as far as Snow Kingdom is concerned. Now,
Yeah.
Hey There Cool is leaving Seaside. Might look like that is to his advantage, but actually Seaside being quite a bit shorter of a kingdom than Snow for the reasons that we've already stated. So while he's entering Snow now, Source will be just about finished with Snow himself, and then on to Seaside, which is the quicker one.
For sure.
And again, no Snowdram ideas from Source. So now that he's completed this sub-area here, he will be entering a third one to get a moon hidden in behind the mountain. I think it's called Behind Snowy Mountain, if I'm not mistaken. And then he'll be warping directly to the Odyssey and leaving.
Yes. Snowdram saves about, I believe it's 7 optimally, but it has the potential to save more since most runners don't know or don't perform this moon completely optimally either.
Yeah, it's a bit of an awkward one for platform, considering the camera angle, some of the wall textures get in the way.
Yeah. So Source heading out of Snow and into Seaside. So until Source leaves Seaside and until Hey There leaves Snow, we won't really have a great idea of who is leaving right now.
Yeah, still a little bit hard to tell. Hey There Cool, not making too many mistakes. Also entering the shop here, signaling no Snowdram ideas from him. Playing it safe. And while we kind of watch these runners go about the easier parts of these kingdoms, I'd like to remind you guys of our sponsor, Vi.gg. Vi.gg providing us with opportunities to bet on your favorite runners. So visit their website by typing !bet to learn more, or click the banner underneath the video. Of course, you must be of legal gambling age to participate.
So Hey There Cool entering this room coined by the community as the Blowy Joey room. Very cycle-based room. Any mistakes may cost you a decent amount of time due to the cycles involved. Hey There Cool actually missing that triple jump cycle.
Yeah, unfortunately having to take the kind of slower way about going about this room, you can actually get in within an optimal cycle if you are extremely speedy in that room and manage to get the triple jump off in time, but not going to be seeing that this time from Hey There, unfortunately.
Alright, so Source not opting to do any Rocket Flower refresh ideas, playing it safe here.
Yep, that Rocket Flower refresh saves about a second and a half when you take into consideration how optimal you can do this particular Gushin part. So messing it up loses quite a bit more time because it usually means messing up the notes as well. So you have to kind of restart them and do it over again. So not a huge, it's kind of a big risk, low reward type of situation.
Yeah, we actually did see a Rocket Flower refresh slip up in a previous race, I believe.
Yeah, it did actually happen just recently. Unfortunate situation. But these guys, again, going for a little bit safer strategies, ones that they're more comfortable with. And, you know, both runners actually on pretty good pace. So I haven't really seen very many major mistakes, except for the death by Hey There Cool in Wooded, I would say. So, you know, probably on a decent pace for both of these
Yeah,
guys.
it's looking right now, kind of hard to tell still, but looking like they're about even. We'll see in a second here. But it's looking like they're about on the same pace right now.
Yep, hey There Cool, entering the final room in snow, just has to go around the snowy mountain and grab the last moon. Source, also on his last moon, just has to duck down here into the hidden chasm, grab a fast moon hidden in here, and then he'll be warping to the Odyssey as well.
So Hey There Cool is pulling just a tiny bit ahead out of Snow and Seaside. Source trailing not that far behind.
Yeah, and just like that, we can finally see just how far apart these runners are. Probably no more than 10 seconds. So as we enter Luncheon, and of course Luncheon is a very scary kingdom as well, lots of potential to kind of throw it. Hopefully we don't see any of that, but it's another one of those kingdoms that kind of, like Metro, very minor optimizations can be done to save a second here, 2 seconds there, and they all add up. So it will really depend on their execution who comes out on top.
For sure, there's a lot of little things you can do, such as Hey There Cool not opting to do the Salt triple jump. Neither is Source. Saves a tiny bit of time, but neither of them opting to go for that.
Somewhere in the ballpark of about a second optimally. But
Yeah.
going for the safe strat here, it's very easy to bonk if you attempt to do the Salt Pile triple.
Yes, and if you bonk, you also have the chance of falling straight into the lava type substance and the possibility of dying here. So Hey There Cool pulling a bit more ahead with inner movement.
Yeah, and those things are all going to add up, but actually not nailing down Spirit on that first hit, having to stop him somewhat far away. Going to be setting up a heart grab so that he doesn't have to suffer a refill animation, but just like that, you know, Source, I think, is actually going to be taking the lead on this.
Yes,
Actually,
it does.
not quite. Not quite.
Yeah, Hey There Cool taking a little bit of a lead.
Yeah, losing a couple of seconds to that, though, so Source tightening up his trail just a little bit here.
For sure. So Hey There Cool does pull a little bit ahead coming out here, but as it has been for most of the race, not that big of a time difference. It's definitely been a very exciting, close race.
Yeah, it's amazing how close these guys have stayed, and you know, we've just only in round 2 things are really starting to heat up, and it's amazing to see just how close these runners are in terms of skill and in terms of execution, and you know, already some very tight synced up moments. So
Yes.
really could go either way for any of the competitors still remaining in the competition. So
It actually has been very interesting to watch that even when one of them makes a pretty major mistake, such as missing nut clip, the other will oftentimes make the same mistake, or if one chooses to not go for a faster, more optimization, neither will the other runner, which contributes to this being a rather close race.
yes, indeed. And we kind of see that here. So Hey There Cool having a little bit of trouble with the turnip. Meanwhile, Source going to be kind of setting up for the same. Still very close, tight race here. And as we kind of precariously jump over the lava, we'll see what kind of route these guys do to get the Salt Island. Probably going to be seeing the camera manipulation from both. Source lowering his camera there just to keep the Podoboo off screen, but then going to be, as it moves on the screen, it'll be in a more optimal location for him to capture it after this moon. Meanwhile, Hey There going towards the fork sub area. And this is another very difficult kind of platforming section, which involves a lot of shakes, a lot of dives. That particular cap throw actually not landing on its target, so had to redo it. Oof. And Hey There Cool trying to save himself here. He's able to get it, gets the fork flick, and he's going to be over safely to the next part, but that is going to let Source catch up. He's actually taking the riskier strat here and grabbing the moon right away instead of going to the lower platform, so he has already made up quite a bit of time here, actually missing the moon, but now the gap is even tighter. And just like that, Source is pulled into the lead. Hey There Cool having a little bit of difficulty using the Podoboo to jump up the cliff. So just like that, Source is in the lead. He's going to be grabbing this moon. Hey There Cool going for the turnip clip route here. Source obviously not opting for it, not grabbing a turnip. So we'll just see if Hey There Cool is able to pull off an optimal setup here for his turnip. He might actually be able to retake the lead. We see the cheese giving Source quite a bit of difficulty. He's got to break it open, pull the lever, and wait for this box to open up. Meanwhile, Hey There Cool having a lot of trouble setting up this trick, using a Procon down throw to capture the pan bro and clip in. So he did retake the lead due to a little bit of spaghetti on Source's part, but it's still very close. Hey There may be only 4 seconds ahead.
It does look like only about a 4 or 5 second difference.
Yeah, very, very close. Now, we do see Hey There Cool kind of taking the slower way around the mountain. But still maintaining his lead, playing it a little bit risky on the mountain itself here. Having some difficulty with the platforming. Source pulling into the lead as a result. He's going to be taking the lead as we leave Luncheon Kingdom now.
Hey There Cool having a lot of trouble finally getting up there. So Source does pull into the lead by looking like about 10 seconds right now.
Thankfully, Source playing it a little bit cleaner and able to scrape out a lead as we go into Ruined Kingdom. Amazing. Very, very close race. It just keeps trading back and forth. Like I do not know who could come out on top here.
Yes, this will come down. This will probably come down to Bowser's and Moon. Mostly Bowser's, probably. Lot of hard, scary stuff that can happen in Bowser's. Bowser's is basically just like all the hard parts of all these kingdoms put into one kingdom. Definitely very scary.
Big bonks that could lead to immediate deaths, big falls, hard platforming situations with tight jumps. It really does kind of contain it all, separated by nice little gaps in the story, which kind of give you a moment of breathing room before you tackle the next part, and then of course finishing it off with the Robo Brute fight, which is arguably one of the harder areas of the game, especially when you're trying to do it optimally. So
for sure,
hopefully
not only
these runners don't have much problem with it, but we will see.
Yes, Robo Brutal being difficult, not only just because it's difficult to pull off quickly, but also because it is at the very end of the run. So if you get to Robo Brutal on a good pace, it can definitely be a very scary situation there.
Yep, I know that it is a particularly nerve-wracking part for me when I am on, say, PB pace as I approach that fight. So definitely in a tight race situation where, you know, the outcome is still yet to be determined. It's so close. You can imagine that the stakes are high, the nerves are high as well.
Yes, for sure. So here's Ruined boss fight. The design of the boss fight and the boss fight itself is pretty cool, but if you're a speedrunner, unfortunately, this boss doesn't have much to offer. It's sort of just a breather type boss. Although Hey There Cool did have a little bit of trouble pulling out those swords from the dragon's head.
Yeah, any of the time loss happening in this kingdom is going to be from unoptimal sword pulling in that particular chunk of the boss fight, but there's really nothing you can do to speed it up. Aside from that, we are looking to take some intentional damage just so that we're nice up and close to these swords as they become invulnerable. So that is about the only thing that we can really do.
Yeah, this boss fight is often referred to as a auto scroller boss fight, which means there's not a whole lot you can do to slow up or speed up the process. You just kind of have to fight the boss fight mostly as intended.
Yeah, more or less just sit through it. Now, Source pulling the last swords out of the boss, setting up the ground pound, and he's going to be done. Hey There Cool having a little bit more difficulty with the swords themselves, but now he's got the final one pulled in, finishing the ground pound, so it might have lost him about a second in that fight, but again, still very tight race, and entering Bowser's Kingdom where literally anything can happen.
Yes, they're similar to Luncheon and Metro. Lots of tiny optimizations that you can do, but there's also a lot of big time losses that can happen depending on how clean your movement is and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So Source pulling just a little bit ahead out of Ruin, but as has been the theme for most of this run, it is not a very big lead at all. Probably about 5-10 seconds.
Still anybody's race.
For sure. It'll be interesting. The lead has flopped back and forth several times, so it'll be interesting to see who pulls out after Bowser's, given the nature of the race or of the kingdom, of just how scary it is, how much can go wrong.
You know, plenty of opportunities to fall and lose some time here. We will just see who is able to kind of execute on these strategies better than the other. Source has a little bit of a lead going in. So for the first part, just rolling through the Goombas, no real damage here. Looks like Source is going to be setting up for this, what we call Pokio Dram, looking to actually just use the Pokio to get up a little bit safer. That's an interesting strategy. We're going to see Hey There Cool go for the faster method of doing this, which is just wall jumping up. So probably saving a little bit of time on Source, avoiding the capture.
Still a very close race. That jump there, that Hey There did make up a little bit of time to Source.
Yeah, you see the cutscenes activating here. Source still just a little bit of a lead, probably about 5 seconds, as he approaches the pillar portion. Or not the pillar portion, sorry, the shards portion. Of course, doing these optimally is a very tricky thing indeed. A couple of optimizations that involve dive back strategies. We're probably not going to see anything quite as flashy as that here, just looking to play it safe. Source going about grabbing his shards, almost taking a fall there actually, but staying safe, just finding the last shard in this box, and then he's going to be on his way. So, Hey There Cool, taking it a little bit more cautiously by the looks of it.
Source, they're not opting to go for the Glory Hole Moon, but Hey There Cool actually does. This moon is a tiny bit slower, but it is safer than the moon inside the crates that Source will be going for.
Yeah, so probably going to be losing Hey There just a little bit more time. Source taking the spin pound approach from the back to get this moon. No capture warp strategies here, which is probably the safe thing to do. And now we're going to see him approach these multi-brutals, I suppose, the double brutals here.
Yes. And, ooh, Source losing a lot of respect from me, going for Harry at first.
Now, you know, I am gonna come out on a limb and say that Harriet first is the optimal strategy, so gonna be giving Source my credit here.
It's kind of, yeah, that's kind of weird that they are letting you commentate this since, you know, you clearly have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh my
No,
goodness.
no. In all seriousness, it doesn't favor lose any time for whichever one you go for. It's just a preference thing. Although some runners may find it better to go for topper first, because if you it's easier to take damage, and if you take damage, you can grab the checkpoint flag on your way to Harriet, which will refill your health and skip the refill animation.
Yes, Harriet probably being the easier of the two fights and the one you're likely to take damage in, but it does make sense from a strategic standpoint to choose topper first, just so you can use the checkpoint flag to heal. But aside from that, no real time difference there, so if you're confident in your boss fighting abilities, it does not matter which
Yes.
you choose.
But I will still stick by my gut and say topper first is more optimal in my heart.
Get a hashtag topper first gang in the chat.
Yes.
So Source finishing up his fight with Topper just slightly ahead.
Yeah,
grabbing
so
that Story Moon.
both relatively clean, brutal fights from both players, so this does look like it's going to be coming down to mech in terms of Bowser's, of who will come out on top.
We do have one kind of tricky platforming section coming up here. Source does not have his second non-story moon yet, so he will be going around the crates and into the boxes to grab it, which is another interesting thing to note here. Hey There Cool does in fact have his second moon already, and therefore can just go directly to the boss fight. Source grabbing this moon here. Still, Hey There Cool just launching off of the story moon platform, so Hey There Cool still a little bit behind. Source going to be executing this kind of scary movement without the help of the camera. Going to be taking it safe, going around the safe way, and capturing this Pokio.
Both of the runners seem to be taking it safe, not doing any risky jumps, which I think is the right way to go when the race is this close.
Certainly, when anything can happen. This Ogre giving Hey There a little bit of trouble, definitely getting bodied by this Ogre, but making it by, losing a little bit of time. Source, on the meantime, had a very excellent climb up the wall. He's going to be shooting through the wire and up to this fight with the Robo Brutal, where again, anything can happen. Even just the choice of strategy that you make to fight this Robo Brutal could decide who comes out on top here.
For sure. And of course, the risk of falling off, the most obvious time loss that can happen. So let's see. Source actually is opting to go for this fast top. Ooh, missing it, but does not fall off, thankfully. Hey There Cool playing it more safe.
Okay, so Hey There Cool immediately setting up the safer strat and just waiting on top. Source going for the quick hit but not getting it, so actually not losing any time really for either of them. It did look like Hey There Cool's climb was a little bit quicker, so he probably did make up maybe half of a second.
And once again, Source playing it safe here with the skewer hit. Source does look like he is ahead by just a little bit here. And very clean mech fight from Source. Let's see if Hey There can pull out this last hit. Having just a little bit of trouble, but he pulls it off there. A clean mech fight by both runners. No falling off, thankfully.
Yeah, nobody fell off this time. We did see Hey There just take a couple of extra ground pounds to hit Harriet at the end. It can be a little bit scary once the Robo Brutal starts moving around again, but again, not really any huge time losses there. Thankfully, going to be going into the Moon Kingdom safely, and we're still more or less neck and neck. Less than 10 seconds separate these guys.
Going into the final kingdom, this whole race has pretty much been like this, with the not a huge lead from either runner. Makes for a very exciting race.
It's amazing. This second round just starting, and things are already heating up. As we enter the Moon Kingdom now, and this kingdom, while it's not entirely difficult to execute, I would say that there are lots of possibilities to lose very big chunks of time. So if anything goes wrong here, it will spell doom for the person who commits it. So we just have to hope for a nice clean Moon Kingdom from both, and this race will stay tight to the end.
Yes, I can speak from experience that even when you're 1 minute ahead in the final room of the game, it's not over till you shoot out of the wire, because I have, in fact, died in that room. Very sad situation indeed.
Yep, and even it's a close enough race where even just messing up one of the phases of the Bowser fight could settle this. Even if Source takes a moment to set up his Moon Cave skip, and it's just a little bit slower than Hey There Cool's, all of a sudden Hey There Cool coming back and taking the lead. You just never know.
Absolutely. And then, of course, the infamous 2D section, which we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Don't want to be responsible for any commentator's curse here.
So just like we saw in the frog room at the very beginning of Source, setting up some vector jumps with moon physics. Hey There Cool following suit. Source did get kind of bullied by this moon snake. Hey There Cool having a little bit of better luck with it. Source going for some long jumps, not opting for any roll boost strategies, taking it safe. Hey There Cool a little bit riskier and probably saving a little bit of time as a result.
So now heading up to, it's not that difficult of a trick, but it is one of the most important. I think it's the trick that saves the most time in this game. By doing this skip and not going into the Moon Cave, you're saving about 5 minutes. So even though it's not the most difficult trick, it's definitely very important to the run, and both runners getting it there.
Both runners getting it, both setting up very nicely and not making any huge execution errors with it. So the lead remains the same. I think Hey There Cool has a little bit better movement in general on the moon so far. So he is just closing the gap slightly as we approach the Bowser fight.
Yes, this is a very, very close race. So it'll come down to this Bowser fight and the escape.
And just a reminder to you guys that Vi.GG is sponsoring this event as well. Tournaments going on during this month of December. Vi.GG is where you can place bets on your favorite runners. Of course, you must be in a legal gambling country and of legal gambling age to participate. Type !bet or click the banner underneath the stream to find out more information. Now, if I had money on this particular race, I would be on the edge of my seat, you guys, because this could really go either way. Hey There Cool, showing that he does still kind of hold on to the slower Bowser strategy here, waiting for the hats to come towards him.
Source actually did go for a fast Bowser strat and messed up the hat grab, but luckily the hat flew away from Bowser and not towards him, so Source was able to grab the hat and not let Bowser take the hat back, which would lose a decent chunk of time.
Certainly, and we are within the same phase of the fight. This race is still just so close. It's really impossible to tell just which way it's still gonna go.
Ooh, Source making up a decent amount of time there by not going, or by going for the fast Bowser strat, but it's still very close.
Yeah, they're both punching Bowser on the final phase. Hey There Cool just dodging a couple more tail swishes and then skipping this cutscene. So Source is going to be coming ahead, going into the escape sequence. These guys still have to go through the 2D skip and then also the pillar room, but the timing for them is so close that even just having an optimal pillar room over Source could be the victory for Hey There Cool. It really will come down to execution here. Hopefully no major mistakes, otherwise this run will be decided for sure.
Yeah, just some fast fireballs in pillar room, you know, early pillar, optimal Bowser movement can really decide this race here as we're going into the final part of the run.
So Source now approaching the 2D section, this of course being the penultimate moment, I would say. Very scary jump coming up here. He's got to come up and avoid hitting his head, getting the 2D skip very nicely. Hey There Cool right on his tail, going for the 2D skip, getting it as well. Looks like Hey There Cool is actually running through the section where Source is choosing not to, so it looks like Hey There is actually making up some time over Source within 5 seconds of each other now.
Yes, no XD skip ideas from either runner.
Thankfully, that would probably give me a heart attack.
Same. Both runners executing 2D skip. It may look simple, but it is definitely very scary, especially in a setting like this.
Yes, and it's literally going to come down to pillars. Source throwing his fireballs, only throwing 4, not even throwing them quite in the right direction. So if Hey There Cool is able to get this first pillar down, it is going to come down to the pillars.
Oh, he
didn't
doesn't
get all
quite
of his
get
hits
it.
down, though.
I thought he was, but he didn't get the hits down quite.
So it's really going to come down to just how fast that last pillar falls. I think Source still needs at least 2 more hits on the last pillar. Hey There Cool probably only needs 1. Source getting those hits in, and he's on his way to the final platform. He's going to be making it.
Now in the lead on the way to this this final pylon here, and it is looking like Source is going to pull out with a win by just a tiny bit.
Literally within 1 rock break of each other. Source exiting the wire at 106.18. Hey There exiting the wire at 106.24. A
Wow.
difference of 6 seconds
Only
between
6
these
seconds.
racers.
That was a very exciting race. Only 6 seconds in between. That entire run was very, very Maka-esque. A lot of lead switches, a lot of mistakes made by both runners, a lot of awesome tricks pulled off by both runners, ultimately ending in a difference of only 6 seconds.
An absolutely phenomenal race. Following one earlier that was of a difference of 8 seconds, you know, this round 2, I cannot even fathom what we're going to see next. This is absolutely phenomenal competition from all of these runners in the second round so far.
Both runners played very well. There was not a whole lot of huge leads made up by either runner throughout the run. It was mostly they were just in within a few seconds of each other. Very exciting race indeed.
Yeah, it was very crazy to watch the lead go back and forth. We have the runners with us in the call now. We're going to start with Hey There. So, Hey There, how do you feel that race went for you?
It was half good, half really bad. Like,
Yes.
my gameplay.
Do you care to elaborate? We noticed in particular there was a death with the Flower Road, or actually you took a bonk after the Flower Road skip, if I recall.
Yes, I don't think I got enough distance, so I bonked on, like, the part where you enter.
Yes, that's right. And unfortunate situation there, just a little bit of, you know, taking a bonk there, probably not the best thing to do. You actually did end up coming out ahead after that particular portion, but like I'm seeing in chat, the difference between you guys was no more than 15 seconds at any point, which is just, it was on the edge of your seat the whole time. No, didn't really know who was going to come out on top until the very, very end. So very solid effort. Unfortunately, Hey There Cool, you will not be moving on. Source taking the victory here. Now, Source, how did you feel that race went?
I mean, I messed up Dino Skip. I also didn't get Note Clip, so I had to fall back on the original wooded route, and I still PB'd by a second, which I'm pretty happy
Hey,
with.
There you go.
So, I mean, I think that just shows like my potential to get 105, which I'm pretty happy with. But yeah, it was a good
For
race,
sure.
and it was close a lot. GG.
Yeah, I think both of you guys kind of showed that a really good time in this game is extremely possible, even if you are not going for, say, the world record strats. You guys both played it rather safe, both still pulling out a low 106 time. So GG's to both of you guys. Congratulations, Source, for moving on to the next round. Your opponent is yet predetermined by one of the upcoming matches, but we will find that out shortly. And good luck in your next race.
Thank you.
Yeah, GG's to both runners. You guys both played extremely well, very close within each other. Very exciting race. So good job to both of you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
And thank you, Brisquat, for your commentary. Be sure to drop a follow to both these runners if you haven't already. They stream all of their runs on twitch.tv, of course. and give a follow to Brisquat. This is his actual first commentary session with GSA, so I think he did a fantastic job.
Thank you, Dangers.
And we will see you guys with some Super Mario Odyssey content tomorrow. Coming up next, though, after a short intermission, we will be seeing some Super Mario 64 action, some 70-star tournaments, so stay tuned. Don't go away.